Zonal defending. You hear the term all the time, you see it every single weekend. But what is it, really? Well, it's the system that has completely changed modern football. It's turned defending from a series of one-on-one duels into, well, a collective art form. And today, we're going to break down exactly how it all works.
Right. Get this into your head, because it's the most important idea of all. The most powerful defense in the game today isn't about the individual players. It's about the space between them. So forget everything you think you know about defenders chasing attackers all over the pitch. This is a total shift in thinking, from marking a man to controlling territory. It's all about structure, about teamwork, and about turning the pitch into a defensive web.
So what does that actually mean on the pitch? Simple. It means every player is responsible for a specific patch of grass, their zone. Their main job isn't to follow a single opponent wherever they go. Nope. Their job is to defend their area. If an attacker and the ball enter their zone, they engage. The second they leave, the responsibility gets passed on.
And that leads us to the handover principle. This is what makes the whole system tick. Picture this. A winger is running full pelt at your fullback. As long as that attacker is in the wide zone, they are 100% the fullback's problem. But the moment they drift inside, into the centre-back zone, the fullback's job is done. They literally hand over the player to their teammate and get back into position. It's supposed to be a seamless chain of command.
Okay, so you might be wondering, how do 11 players manage this constant handover without the whole defense just falling apart? Well, it all relies on a set of core principles that every single player has to execute almost perfectly. This is what turns the team into a single, cohesive unit. There are basically 5 pillars that make this whole thing work, and you really can't have one without the others. They're totally interconnected. You can think of them as the golden rules that make the entire defensive machine run smoothly. Let's break each one down. First up, compactness. The goal here is to squeeze the pitch to make it feel absolutely tiny for the opposition. We're not just talking about the space between defenders, but the space between the defense, the midfield, and even the forward lines. When a team is compact, there are just no easy passing lanes through the middle. You're forcing the other team to play around your block, never through it. Next, you've got shifting. Now imagine the entire team is connected by invisible strings. When the ball moves over to the right wing, the whole team, all 10 outfield players, slides across to that side of the pitch. What this does is create a numerical advantage right around the ball, compressing the play and making it incredibly difficult for the attacker to find an open teammate. The entire defensive block just moves as one, kind of like a shadow tracking the ball across the field. And all of this leads to a huge strategic goal, protecting the most valuable real estate on the entire pitch, that central area right in front of your own goal. The whole point of staying compact and shifting together is to make that area an absolute fortress. You deny access to the center, and you force the attack out wide, into positions where, let's be honest, they're much less of a threat. Now for the final 2 principles. These are the mental ones, and you could argue they're the most important of all. Communication is the oil in the machine, right? Players have to be constantly talking to manage those handovers, to point out dangers. And then there's anticipation. That's about reading the play before it happens, positioning yourself to cut out a pass or to block a shot. Without these 2, the whole structure just completely collapses.
All right, so these principles don't just exist in a textbook. They have to be applied constantly throughout a match, and every phase of the game presents its own unique challenge.
During open play, it's all about what we've just discussed, maintaining that compact shape. But on set pieces, things get really interesting. A lot of teams use a hybrid system. You'll have some players defending key zones, like the 6-yard box, while other players are assigned to man-mark the opponent's biggest aerial threats. But maybe the most chaotic phase is the defensive transition. The second your team loses possession, the only thing that matters is sprinting back into that solid zonal shape as fast as humanly possible.
The best way to really understand the theory is to see it in practice. So let's look at 3 top-tier managers who have become famous for their mastery of zonal defending, because each one puts their own unique spin on the system.
And these examples really show you how flexible the system can be. You have Unai Emery's Aston Villa, which uses a mid-block. They start engaging opponents around the halfway line to cut off those central passes. Then you have the classic Diego Simeone Atletico Madrid, famous for its low block, defending super deep in their own half to create this almost impenetrable wall. And then there's something totally different, like Ralf Rangnick's Austria, which bakes this aggressive, high-energy pressing right into the zonal shape. They use the structure as a launchpad for winning the ball back high up the pitch.
But look, for all its power, the system is not foolproof. Not at all. Like any tactic in football, it comes with a pretty clear set of trade-offs. Some massive advantages, but also some pretty significant challenges.
So on the plus side, it's brilliant for maintaining team structure, and it's definitely less physically demanding than man-marking, since players aren't just chasing one guy everywhere. But here's the catch. Its biggest strength, that reliance on structure, is also its biggest weakness. If communication breaks down or just one player is out of position, huge gaps can appear instantly. Really quick ball movement can overload a zone, and smart attackers can find space between static defenders on set pieces. It really does require near-perfect coordination.
So in the end, it's probably best to think of it as a philosophy, not just a set of instructions. It's become a cornerstone of the modern game for a reason. It emphasizes teamwork, structure, and the ability to control space over everything else. It really elevates the collective team over any single individual, and that's exactly why it's still so incredibly effective.
So the next time you're watching a match, look for it. Don't just follow the ball. Watch how that defensive block moves as one single unit. And then ask yourself the big question. Now that you know how the system works, how would you beat it? Because that right there, that's the tactical chess match that makes this game so beautiful.